Right? Yeah, me too. Okay, everybody meet Mr. Me Too. And I feel. Ooh, come on. That's what it is. That's what it is. All right, welcome back to Open Invite, a show where community, culture, and entertainment intersects. I'm Anthony Jr.
And I'm Cyn.
And we got somebody very special with us, right?
We do. And it's only right that we give him the proper introduction because he deserves it. So joining us today, we have a multifaceted creative. When he walked in here, it was like, oh, you look dapper, okay? Because one thing about him, he's gonna put that stuff on, okay? And one of our favorite things about who this person is that he stands so true to where he comes from, doesn't shy away from his roots or his foundations. And he's someone who builds community and is very intentional about bringing people together into spaces where they can really feel seen. And so join me in welcoming the DAZ to the show.
Hey. What's going on, everybody?
Hello, welcome.
Man, that was the interview right there. They got everything they need to know now.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing today?
We're good.
Doing good.
Beautiful day in the city.
Yes. What you been up to?
A lot. I'm blessed to be able to work with youth. So now that the kids are in summer, our school's out, we've been doing some stuff for summer break or getting stuff prepped for summer break. And then a lot of events and a lot of organizing and things is keeping the ball rolling, honestly. But yeah, it's a marathon going on so far. So.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you for joining us because I know you carved out time out of a busy day to be here today, so we appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you guys.
You know, I want to mention something real quick, even before we get started, man. Last Thursday, Jazz Bones.
Okay, yep, Juneteenth.
Yo, you had that jumping, bro.
No, I appreciate that.
The fact that I was outside for 20 minutes trying to get inside.
Trying to get in.
I told him straight up though. He sent me a text message, say you good, but if you got to start at 5. You gotta wait till draft day, to get everybody. But
I was there 20 minutes outside waiting to get in. But I was like, I can't just leave it. I'm showing the security like, Dad said I could get in. Like, and they're like, still wait, you still gotta wait. Our capacity, but man, like that was beautiful, man. When I walked in, beautiful.
No, I appreciate you. That's your second one, right?
Yeah, second one.
Yeah, second one. So yeah, nice little elevation.
What are you guys talking about? Give people more context into what event you're talking about.
I had a pleasure of doing a Juneteenth celebration last Thursday at the infamous Jazz Bone. It's a spot on 6th Ave in Tacoma that has been the host of a lot of concerts and events back in the day, and still to this day actually. And there was an event that 2 other creatives, a barber and a good friend of his, started, which was called Thirsty Thursdays, which most people know across the world in their own respected areas. So it's been about 10 years since they've done Thirsty Thursdays, so they reached back out to me about revamping it and bringing it back to life. So I just didn't want to call it, I wanted to give it a new energy. So I call it Good Thursdays because we want to bring good vibes, good people, good music, good times. So that is the evolution of Thirsty Thursdays, and it wouldn't be right if I did it without them. So it's like a 3-man weave we got going on. I wanted to pay homage to them and show like the passing of the torch, but also the respect that they set the grounds for and the foundation for this to be a thing. So we've been doing Good Thursdays, one Thursday a month, and luckily this Thursday in June happened to be Juneteenth, and so we had a good time in there. Some great DJs, Your Highness, Sway, and just beautiful people having a good time.
Come on. Yeah. I love it. So tell us more about who you are, right? Shared a little bit about you even with the introduction about, you being this multifaceted individual, right? Because you have so many different layers that really bring you together. But, who is Dejan?
I appreciate that because people call me Daz or know me as Daz, but my mama named me Dejan Johnson. Daz is a nickname that I got when I was a part of ETC Tacoma, which was kind of my first swing at things. ETC Tacoma is a store, a men's boutique clothing brand in downtown Tacoma. Been around for going on 11 years. I've been with the company since I was 18. And we were trying to take, streetwear and teach you know, what the clothing looks like outside of Washington State in like the New York and the LAs and those bigger markets, and kind of give our own little twist and our own little feel to represent our hometown, which is Tacoma, Washington, where I'm born and raised. I went to a HBCU, Langston University. My family originates from the South, so I got a lot of Southern roots in hospitality. And yeah, I mean, I've always been an entrepreneur. My mom was an entrepreneur when I was young, so my very first time starting a business was in middle school. I was a paper boy. I sold Avon, whatever I could do to, just be an entrepreneur and a hustler and a go-getter. I was doing it. You know, the fundraiser, I was that at school, and that's kind of how I ran into one of the founders of ETC. He was my high school assistant coach. Everybody knew me for being the jug man, you know, snacks, donuts, whatever. And he had t-shirts, and I was like, let me get those off for you. And then 10 plus years later, I kept doing that and building the brand and opening up the store with the guys and pop-ups, traveling across the world. And that's how the fashion side of my resume started. When I went to a HBCU, that's where the entertainment and event coordinating started, because I was the co-chair of entertainment and the chair of community service. So that's why it's so important for me to bridge those two together. So I had the opportunity to do BET Black College Tour, Homecoming Weekend, Welcome Back Week, any of those activities that you see to gain to beef up the rapport and the energy on campus outside of, going to class and doing all those things is kind of where all that started. Met with some great people. We had this organization called Rare Opportunity. You got all your orgs, Chess Club, California Club, all the clubs. So Rare Opportunity was really cool because it was kind of like the who's on campus, the Miss Langston, the Mr. Langston, the president of the school, all those things. And they were all from respective different places: Denver, Chicago, Louisiana, California. Made this tandem and this org, and then we also held positions outside of it. So we would always throw the after parties for homecoming and just have the inside scoop on how to have it on both ends. So that's kind of where the event started. And after I kind of understood the alphabet of events, I just shopped myself out to people, letting them know, like, I don't have to be A, B, and C. I'll do whatever letter needs to be, said. It's still the alphabet, even if you're not the first three. So that led me into working with Fader Ford and doing South by Southwest, 40-ounce bounce, 1 a.m. bounce with Yes Jules. Shout out to Devin Cobbs. He runs an event on the East Coast called For Lovers Only. Shout out to Russell North. He was the West Coast guy running 40-ounce bounce. So that's kind of how my connection in terms of traveling events started. And then once I graduated college and was going to be going back to the shop and running that full time, I brought those skill sets with me and started to do events here, just because I understood the tandem that they work hand to hand, honestly. I have a Power 5 thing that I believe in, that if these 5 things move a city, community, and a state, so I kind of feed into those things, and that's kind of, not to be too long-winded, but that's that's how it all came to fruition. So
I want to backtrack a little bit, just because I want to understand a little bit about the earlier side of things. You mentioned being a paper boy and selling the Avon and all that and stuff. Would you say that was the moment that sparked you being able to, I guess, condition yourself to meeting people? That was your way of connecting and building the relationships with others, or you mentioned the founder of ETC Tacoma. How was you doing that able to land you getting to that part?
Honestly, so I grew up as an only child. Now I have 8 siblings, or half siblings. I have 8 family members now, but I grew up as an only child, and I played ball, and I grew up in the church. So my connection and community was church. We had a super big church family. My grandma is the oldest of 7, so I got a lot of cousins. Got too many cousins. So church, hoop, being with my dad at the barbershop, those were my networking spaces and places that made it easy for me to be able to connect with people, especially being the only child growing up. You gotta go out your way and talk to people. And then when my mom ended up being, she created this thing, so like candle parties. So my mom created this business called shoe parties, where she would go to, before COVID was a thing, and people let people in their houses. She would bring tons of inventory to a woman's house, set up shop, and then the woman would just invite all her girls over. The woman that hosted got a free pair of shoes, and then just like did it for the other women. So I was there helping put up boxes. This is when Ask Jeeves and MapQuest was a thing. We didn't before we had GPS, so I had to communicate where we was going and all these other places and spaces. So for me, just being in those rooms with all those women, you have to know how to talk and communicate, or you got to be a quiet little child. And I just seen the opportunity, like, I'm young, so I can sell you guys anything. You guys go buy it, just because I'm just a young kid trying to, make something of it. So I think between church, community, the barbershop that I used to work at, and then just having a big family, communication and connecting was always important, and it just, bled into business and talking to people. And like, I'm from Tacoma, Washington. A lot of people don't know where that's from. So if I'm going outside of that that area, I have to make sure that I represent it properly and like introduce myself. Cause they're gonna be like, "Where you from? Like Cali or something?" They just ask all these questions, "Where you from?" And then when I tell them, they're like, "So yeah, that's kind of
Yeah, and you're very Tacoma. Like, you are, one thing about you make sure you represent Tacoma through and through. We had talked about this, when we were preparing for this episode, because we're thinking about, like, how often does DAZ even host events in Seattle? Like, very rarely, right? Because you're very rooted in your community. So even with your mom, introducing you to those spaces where you started to cultivate different skill sets that have supported you to the place where you are today, what are some things that you can share with folks who are, let's say, maybe a little less connected, maybe might not have quite the same access? What are some things that they can do to start to cultivate those relationships if they want to be in similar spaces to the spaces that you navigate?
Yeah, presence and support. Like, I genuinely support what other people are going on. Like, I feel like if you can't, play on the court, be at the court, watch them play, be ready for your time to get called, because at the end of the day, you didn't get picked up on this game, but if you leave because you didn't get picked up, you might miss your opportunity to be next, on the court, using sports references, because that's what I got. But that, and then just, just being, I think, experiences is very, very important. I mean, like, met somebody in the elevator coming up here, and we was like, oh, Atlanta this, Atlanta that. I think just life experiences have opened up more doors than me being comfortable walking up to somebody in general, and then having some type of relatability to it and understanding where people are coming from. When people are transplants from other places come to Washington, my superpower has been like, oh, I've been on that side, so I know what it looks like. I know what it looks like over here, so I can help gauge, and be like, oh, okay, somebody be like, you want some wings? I said, from here, I'm going to ask them if they're from Atlanta. Is it American Deli, or is it, you feel me, something Zaxby's? So understanding where people come from is very important. And just being in the room sometimes, you just never know what being in the room, who you'll come across, being respectful, obviously, having manners. All these things are the way that I was just raised. My grandfather was a deacon, and he taught other deacons around the world. So for me, it's just really about, like, just being respectful, being kind, being nice to people, and not being afraid to say hello. Like, break the ice. I'm super fine with being the awkward person in the room, because I'm the one that started the conversation. I'm the guy on drumline, like, I play the tuba, and then everybody else is looking like, I ain't about to say nothing.
Right.
And then that ice is now broken, just because, it takes, one of the reasons why outside of like liking to get dressed up, I don't want nobody to feel like they came to an event or something and been like, man, I feel like I'm overdressed, so I'm gonna make sure I dress too, so you don't feel, by yourself. Now we're gonna connect on some, like, okay, we only want to put some effort in today, whatever the case may be, but like making people feel comfortable, making the situation, the room feel comfortable, being genuine, all those things will lead to a conversation without you even having to say hello sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, but just being open to having a conversation. Don't be too cool for school, you know. I've been stopped before and people have been like, I've seen you. I can easily be like, no mic, no interviews, please, but I appreciate that because my job is to give stuff to the people, so I can't act like I'm not one of the people, you know, so.
When would you say was the moment that you actually, I mean, because even backtracking a little bit, Tacoma typically is not known of a place where people are gonna put their best foot forward in dressing up or dressing for an occasion. Was there a specific moment that made you realize, like, I need to step it up so that way others can feel comfortable in doing so? Reason why I say that, I'll add this on. When I first moved there, the first party I went to was a party that was at Baltic Room. And you know, being from Atlanta, we Friday night, Saturday night, we want to dress up
Step
to
out
go
for
out.
real, yeah.
But when I stepped out and I wore a suit to go to Baltic Room.
He thought he was at the Velvet Room in Atlanta all over again. Yeah, it's at the Velvet Room, brother. It's at the Velvet Room.
You wore a suit?
I wore a suit.
Bruh.
I wore a suit. No, not a 3-piece, 2-piece with a tie.
I would have been in the 3, so I feel you.
But I wore it.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead. Finish your story. That's wild. Okay, go ahead.
I can't finish.
You wore a suit.
I wore a suit to Baltic Room. Now, the embarrassment that I had or felt when I was in Baltic Room wearing the suit, because everybody else was like the opposite
T-shirts, pants,
of it. So I felt very cringy doing that. How does it feel for you when you're in Tacoma and you're, you know, fashion forward and you're doing all these events and everybody may not want to step it up like, you know, how you do? Like.
And before you answer that, Daz, I'm sorry for laughing at you. I didn't know that you were embarrassed. Okay, go ahead, Daz.
No, for
Well,
sure.
it was more like a, you know.
I know. I don't need to add to that. Now we're compounding trauma. Okay.
Right?
Oh man, it was crazy.
I don't know if I have like a moment because I grew up in church, so we're in suits all the time anyways, and my grandfather is one of the sharpest ones to do it, you know. So for me, even my dad, you know, it was always about us making sure we were coming correct and, you know, pants crease, you know, pockets, all that, you know. So I don't know if I ever got to a point to where it was like, I'm doing it for the people. I was like, I just have to be a representation of myself and my family regardless, you know, because us being right next to Portland, you know, a lot of us just go throw on a sweatsuit and some J's and some Forces and call it a day because one, the weather, to the fact that there aren't too many things to even feel like you have to get dressed up and go to. So, and we had this thing in college which was called Business Tuesdays. You know, like college, you're just throwing on sweats and going, but every Tuesday, at the HBCU, they wanted to promote to the students like, yo, you got to get dressed up some days, you know. So Business Tuesday was a thing. Some of my friends and I still chat, making jokes like, oh man, I see you had your Business Tuesday on, you know, and we've been removed from school for some time now. So I think each element in my life, there was always something that called for stepping out based off of the surround, just the setup itself. And then obviously once I was running ETC, it would behoove me to try to sell somebody some merchandise and not be able to present it in a way that they can see themselves in it or be like, you know what, I trust you because you got that on. So I feel like whatever you tell me, I'm going to listen to. Yeah. So everything went hand to hand. And then when it came to the events, it's just like, I don't want to be the person that says I don't want to be the person that has to say they're throwing the event, you know. So my one moment to be like, this mine is like my outfit, you know, because it makes it feel good. And you know, based off of Watermelon Sunday, it was always about being on theme. So I'm always wearing red or green, or I'm always wearing a watermelon shirt. So it's just like now other people be like, oh, I could wear watermelon color, like it's a theme party, you know. So when you get into character per se, adding to the element, it makes other people appreciate the product that you're trying to provide or produce for them. It's not just like, oh, he just do a party and like he just in a sweatsuit. I would love to be in a sweatsuit, but I understand like if I take the extra effort, hopefully the next time they come out, they'll be like, I know Dad's gonna throw something on, so let me try to like, they'll hit me up like, what you wearing? I'm just like, you know, I got something in my closet. I got something, you know, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Hopefully that kind of like answers your question.
No, it does.
Yeah.
It does. I appreciate it.
Ooh, that suit. Anyway, so one of the things, even in the spaces that you navigate, I'll be curious to learn more about some of the challenges that you face, right? Because you are someone who does things with intentionality. And I'm certain, I don't say I'm certain, but I'm sure that you're not always met with the same intentionality in what you do. So what are some of those challenges?
I mean, when you have a passion for something and somebody else hasn't got to their point of understanding their passion, the lack of like commitment or like understanding of how much goes into it. You know, a lot of people thought I was just throwing events because I wanted to be a cool guy or something like that. But honestly, I've run it so intentionally, like it's very meticulous, you know, like the whole nine, like it's very detailed. Like I have notes, it's planned out months in advance, almost a year in advance, you know, very detailed, and it's based off of what I learned when I had to operate events with my team in college, to where it's like, we don't get to just be like, oh, we want to do something this weekend. It was like, we got to submit this, we got to get permits for that, we got to ask the popo, the security guards to be there, we got to make sure the kappas and the alphas ain't doing something this weekend. So everything comes with attention. So just one, I would say some of the hurdles is lack of understanding. What we're trying to produce is not being done often. So now we have to run into venues being afraid of what we look like instead of what we're doing, because of the people that we're doing it for, you know, and because of history not repeating itself. So running into places and spaces that, you know, are timid to work with us. That's why I present myself in a certain way, hopefully eases their, you know, their concerns. The mentality of the people, because they're just used to this circle that they're in, or this hub that they're in. So when we're bringing something different to them, it's hard for them to break out of that shell sometimes. It's our objective and job, having experiences in other places like the Atlantas, the Miamis, the New Yorks, the LAs, the Texas, to bring a little bit of those things back here. I'm blessed to have been from here and born and raised here, so I understand how to mix the two together. I see a lot of people that are transplant tussle and fight with some of the community because they're trying to be a part of the community. It's very hard to be in the community sometimes and not understanding what the community has been through, how far it's come to get to this point, and you're just trying to give them an experience that you're used to, but not knowing that they're not really ready for it. Even at ETC, selling a $30, selling a $90 pullover is not the normal price for people in Tacoma that just go somewhere and get a pullover for 30, 40, 50 bucks. So it was about training people to understand just like the experience. You know, the experience alone is at a cost, you know, without even talking about the production of how to create that experience. So just the mentality of trying to like mold, teach people is a uphill battle. The venues and the things like that, uphill battle. And then honestly, just, you know, like, hats off to you and Layback Allure, having a team, you know, like everybody don't have the same skill set. So being able to delegate is not always the easiest. Being able to make people part of the vision is not as always easy, because there's a lot of like want out of it. Some people don't always see the journey that comes from it. You know, it's like, yo, I want to join right now. I want to get paid right now. That's not how it works, brother. But at the end of the day, you know, like I come from a different time where sweat equity means something, you know, and a lot of people nowadays see stuff instantly popping off, or they think it's instantly popping off, and they want that instant, you know, gratification, and sometimes it doesn't come like that. You know, my gratification when it comes to throwing an event is when that thing is over. That's when it's like, yep, they're like, are you excited for the party? Nope. Nope. They were like, well, why not? I'm excited for the fit I'm gonna put on, but the party itself, I'm not excited until it's over, because now that understanding that we accomplished something has happened, understanding that people were safe has happened, understanding that people are excited to see something new, see new faces, feel a different energy. That's what gets me excited, is that finish line. But a lot of people are excited just to the idea, you know, and the idea is that's like my mental like health cure, you know. I went to school in Oklahoma, so it's nothing but red dirt and a lot of land. So for me, coming from a place with trees, mountain, water, and a nice little breeze, going out there was my turning point in terms of like finding true passion and true peace in creativity, or just being able to create. Because I mean, I can go broke tomorrow, but as long as I have creativity to figure out what I can do next and make something, then I'll take that rather than no creativity and all the money in the world, because then you don't even know what to do with all the money, because you're not creative enough to, you know, do something with it, you know. So my creativity has been my safe haven, and it has gotten me through mental battles of, you know, just life, family dying, hard times, all these other things, because at the end of the day, and people are like, yo, why do you always throw events? Why don't you just rest? I was like, my creativity is my peace and my rest, you know. So seeing it be done is like, okay, we can keep doing this. We got another one, you know, but the job's not done. So those are the hurdles that we run into, but also the creativity has been that medicine for me to indulge, and that's why I just keep going, yeah.
You know, and that was actually the perfect segue, because, you know, one of my questions for you is about how your creativity helps you with your mental health. You know, when we were just having conversations preparing for even you coming here today, I remember you distinctly saying, you know, I create to keep from being depressed. Like, that's what I remember you saying. And that just like sparked like a thought in me about, you know, wow, I hear that from so many creatives, right? But I'm also curious about the balance of when the creativity is serving you versus draining you, right? At what point do you recognize when that creativity is, you know, where not necessarily draining you per se, but, you know, where you have to kind of put a pause and say, let me really take a breath and rest?
If you know the true purpose behind it, I don't know if it will drain you. Now it's like saying you want to get ripped, you want to get fit. Okay, the working out is the draining part, but like knowing the purpose of it should always push you through, you know, I think the draining moments per se. So for me, my friends coming from out of state next weekend for an event, never been to Washington, you know, that fills me up, because like there's no other reason they would come out here to Washington State. They're, you know, especially people that don't know nothing about Washington, for people to be like, oh, we're coming out there to come rock with you, or, you know, like that means something to me. My mom, my community, my church, my friends, all seeing that positive things are happening in our community, and a representation is being held at a high standard, not just for Black people, but just for people in general, and businesses, and carrying ourselves the same way, you know. So my family giving me my flowers and things like that, you know, like I do it to represent family, culture, and community. So those things are going to always be a thing, regardless if somebody dies or somebody's born, you know. So understanding that is how I kind of still push through, because the idea isn't draining. The teaching of the idea is draining. You know, like we can do this all day, but it's like, oh, like teaching people how to view, you know, like, subscribe, and share. You know, teaching people is the draining part, you know, because people are gonna be people at the end of the day, you know, and you have to respect that. So as much as we love the people and the culture and the system is draining, but the conceptualization of the idea and like putting it all together is not draining to me personally. It what keeps me from stopping from like want to cuss somebody out or be like, hey, now, you know, they'd be like, how much is for a section? It's like this price. It's like, man, that's ridiculous. It's like, oh, so you're a mathematician now. You know how it all adds up. You know how much you're paying for this, or you know. So just like,
Right.
but I understand people are good people, and that's what I signed up to do a long, long time ago. And obviously, the church is the foundation of it all, and like God, or whatever higher being anybody else believes in, I think is always going to be the foundation and family. So like those things are how you kind of like keep the balance, you know. Like my mom is one of my assistants for most of my things, you know. So being able to just work with my mom in a way, and like she didn't go to HBCU, so she worked my front door, helping me on the logistics on the back end, and her having fun with it is fun. Me being able to hire friends is beautiful. You know, family members traveling out here for a funeral, but then me being able to provide a positive energy after that and put us all in one room together. You know, those are the things that keep balance for me in terms of it all. And then obviously just fall in love with the process and seeing it all the way through, you know, and doing it in style, and doing it with class, and doing it with a level of maturity, and because it's now setting the bar and the standard for the next generation or people around us, because people don't have enough motivation. So if they know me from way back in the day and know I've been doing it for many moons and use me as a motivation, then I'm doing my part, you know, because if I get drained and be like, yo, I quit, I don't know who's watching me, hoping that like I did that so they can figure out their next thing. You know, I put something up there I did a little quote on the social the other day, a Kobe quote, which is, whatever you do, do it to inspire other people to do what they want to do.
Come on.
You know, and I think that's really what it's all about.
Yeah. I know you've mentioned a couple of things with creativity and the mental health portion and stuff, but for you personally, have you seen like the creativity be like a source for processing and healing from anything maybe previously that you've had to have gone through?
Yeah, I've had a cousin that, you know, passed away from vehicular homicide from a drunk driver. I've had my uncle pass away. And for me, the healing and the process of what I'm doing is giving us reasons to come together before stuff like that happens. Because there's always that conversation of like, oh man, it's always good to see you guys. I just wish it wasn't on these terms, you know. So who's going to create those terms for us to be able to do it? We don't do family reunions like we do no more. So if it has to be a party or a dinner or whatever, then I'll make that to where I know I have access to all my cousins and now we're all coming together, our friends, you know, because I don't want it to be a passing or somebody got hurt or bad news is being distributed and we have to now try to come together, you know. So for me, growing up as an only child for 20 years, the only thing I could do as an only child to feel like I'm a part of everything is bring people together. Okay, I'm not going to your guys' house, but y'all come to my house though, you know, like things of that nature, you know. So I think that's what's really important, is trying to eliminate only coming together when, you know, it's the worst time or the bad time. So that's what pushes me to continue to do things and do stuff outside of the state of Washington, because now I have all these friends and family members that live in these places and see what I'm doing over here. Okay, well, all I need you to do is open the door for me over there. You know, I could do it on that side as well too. So
Yeah. And as you continue to do things, and lately you've been, now granted, this is from our perspective on the outside, right? Yeah. It's like you have been in a transitional season where you're doing things not differently per se, but with more consistency. And I also see more things that you're doing that are more just like yours, if that makes sense,
no, for
right?
Sure.
You know, we started this conversation even with you kind of sharing about how you've been working with the youth more and things of that nature, not fully with ETC anymore. And so you're in a transitional space where you're establishing a new thing. You know, so tell us more about this season that you're currently in today.
It's a beautiful, twisted situation going on, but it's just a part of the journey. Like I said, I've been with ETC since I was 17 years old.
Wow.
You
And
know,
how old are you today?
I'm 30. I'll be 31 in August.
Come on.
So I've been with them since my whole 20s, you know, outside of like going to school and coming back. So when I turned 30, it was important for me to be able to create that separation, which I was doing a little bit in between, but people don't like to read between the lines, and people don't like to, you know, take the extra step just to listen to what, you know, like I'll put retired point guard from ETC on my bio, and people will be like, man, like you still have the ETC, right? You know, it's like, brother, I put it out there for you already. You know, the menu's right there. But it was important, one, to not ball hog that position at the shop too, and let the next 18-year-old or next 21-year-old or next young person see themselves in the position that I was able to hold for so long at ETC, and give another, you know, it's all about evolution. The Lakers aren't the same Lakers when Kobe was there. They ain't the same Lakers when Magic was there, you know, so it's always about that next thing. So creating space for that was very important, but also challenge myself to not get comfortable, because I've been here for so long was a thing. Because like, I dibbled and dabbled, you know, even the events I had to, you know, there was a point in time where I didn't want people to know I threw the events, because I didn't want them to attach it to the other entities that I was a part of. This is my first full year not fully into ETC. There's some things that, you know, I pass the ball here and there, and you know, there's some little things that happen, but fully being there full time, this is since August of last year. So this is my first full year into it. It's been a beautiful thing, being able to pass down the knowledge that I have to youth and be a representation of their community and a role model to them has been very important. My biggest goal starting 2025 was to have 25 different collaborations. Honestly, that's just 2 collabs each month. It's not that difficult. You really put the work into it, you know. So, but to show that it takes a village, and I can't do it by myself. I don't want to do it by myself. So working with other people, working with other businesses, because I do a lot of food stuff. I have this thing called the DAZ deal mill, where I work with restaurants, and you know, the food industry was one of the biggest industries that took a hit during COVID. So a lot of these local businesses or local restaurants that didn't have, they had word of mouth back in the day. Okay, well, when you eliminate that and you force everything online, it started to knock people off, you know, the pedestal that they were on. So being able to take my skill sets in terms of marketing, community gathering, and bring people together, I have implemented that through restaurants without asking for any money for them. You know, all the marketing that you ever seen from any restaurant, I pay out of my own pocket. I just want to bring I might ask for a drink or a food, you know, on the menu, in terms of like making it feel like a full circle, but I've never charged any of the restaurants that I work with, because it's about, one, now when people come to me, they'll be like, man, you got some good restaurant recommendations? You know what? I got this really good spot over here. Tell them Dad sent you. They're going to get you right. Now we're building something, you know, very big, because I have this mindset of like there's 5 things that move any city, third world, second world, doesn't matter. This is what people are looking for. Entertainment, food, shopping, so clothing, tranquility, and family. Those 5 things are why people will go anywhere in the world. You're going to New York because you want to eat, you want to see some fashion. You're going to Idaho because you got some cousins out there. You don't know nothing about nothing out there, but you got some family out there, so you're going. You're going to Hawaii because you want to relax. You want that tranquility. Obviously, you know, there's housing and all those other like foundational things, but those 5 things are why people go anywhere in the world. So my whole thing is like, okay, where do those 5 things rank in Tacoma? Where do those 5 things rank in Seattle? So the fact that food, entertainment, and shopping are, because people come here to relax and people come here to see family. Ain't nobody coming here to go to Bloomingdale's. This ain't Lennox, you know. Ain't nobody coming here because they heard the party scene was going crazy out here. And the food is like the middle ground that kind of like puts the glue together. But once I realized those were the 3 things that were on the bottom of that Power 5 ranking, how can I implement those 3 things? Okay, boom, ETC was the shopping. Okay, boom, throwing the events was the entertainment. Boom, okay, now people are going to do what? They want to shop so they can go somewhere, look nice, and have fun. Okay, when they're having fun, they had too much to drink. What they need to do? They need to eat. So boom, that's how like those 3 things have all worked together. And I'm just pouring into those 3 things very toughly right now in terms of this transition that I'm in, and really focus on that Power 5, because I have the family and I have the relaxation. So it's like, how can we push those other 3 things to put those on a higher pedestal, in the state of Washington, not just Tacoma, you know, so that's kind of my thought process. That's how I've been moving throughout 2025, is figuring those things out, so.
One thing I wanted to mention, because I know you talked earlier about there was a point where you didn't really want people to know that you were doing the events, but I want to also give you your flowers, because when it comes down to certain events that you're doing, you have this beautiful reel that is showing the entire experience, man, where it's like, you know, we were talking about before, we were talking about you and Karma was in the
Oh, the
kitchen.
kitchen,
That's
yeah.
right. Y'all
You
got
guys were in
real
the kitchen.
tuna in there,
Yeah.
like.
You know?
Oh no, I took that home. That was no props. That was a real deal.
I said they were really in here.
I was like,
Chef
Cole.
Cole.
don't do too many takes now, because I don't want people thinking that my cooking skills is not, you feel me? So I was like, you got to use a different fish or something, or like just cut that part, you know. But no, yeah,
But
for sure.
but you do a really good job of being able to not only be intentional with like showcasing what people can expect, but the realness with it. It's, you know, a lot of people don't have the time nor the effort to be able to do that the way that you have been doing it, man. So it goes much further than flyers, because, you know, even like on my end too, where it's like people think like to throw an event, we're just throwing a flyer on social media and we're just telling people to come through.
Yeah.
But there's just so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people don't know.
Absolutely.
But I just want to give you your flowers for being intentional, especially being from Tacoma, where people think that people from Tacoma gotta come to Seattle to really
Have a good
party
time.
it up and have a good time, man.
Yeah.
You've definitely taken Tacoma on your back to really showcase it for all the good stuff it has to offer.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's very important. And now I'm on the brink. I think I've cracked the ice so far, but like bridging the gap, there was a time and period where people didn't think that Seattle and Tacoma could even party together, you know, like it's Crips and Bloods or something like that. Like, yo, that's just a folk tale. Like, there was a time where it was funky, but at the same time, it's like, it takes the right people to eliminate that, you know, it takes the right community. So building those communities, working with those people is very important, you know. I know you asked, like, I rarely do stuff in Seattle. Luckily, we're doing some more stuff in Seattle, you know, but also I don't want to overlook the fact that there are creatives up here that are doing something. So if anything, I would want to collab with them. I wouldn't want to come and step on their toes, and I will let them know that like the door's open for them in Tacoma as well. But I know Tacoma is missing something that Seattle doesn't have, or that Seattle has more often. So I have to continue to represent and pay homage to like giving Tacoma what they're missing, but also being able to sprinkle a little bit here in Seattle. So you know, more Seattle things to come and things of that nature, but it's really about making sure home's taken care of, and, you know. But yeah, I appreciate those.
Yeah. No, you're so creative. I mean, it is just amazing. And I'm curious if you've ever considered even getting into, you know, acting or film or, you know, media in that way.
And that's, you know what, it's funny. I feel like since we're on the podcast, I'll let it be known. But my uncle, he's actually an actor. He's been acting for 20 plus years. He actually has been sending my reels and the videos that I've been doing behind my back without my permission. No, I'm joking. No, sending that to his agent.
Really?
So his agent reached out to me and was like, hey, can you do a reading for us? So I did a reading right before I went to Oakland to do Watermelon Sunday out there. And by the time I got back, she sent me over a contract to sign with their agency out of LA. So
Come on.
I'm gonna try it. Why not? You know, just because, you
Yes.
you just never know. So I'll be going like Canada and LA back and forth. But you know,
That's fine.
it's just a blessing. And for me, like, it's exciting, but it's not exciting because like the job's not done. You know, my type of energy is just like, yo, there's always work to be done. But just to know that my creativity and the way that I put intention into putting out stuff out there catches people's eye from other places and spaces, hood, proper, whatever you want. You know, just it's all about relatability, and people can connect to it. it made me feel really good that somebody of her status from doesn't know anything about me, you know, was willing to sign me to her agency. And because when I looked at the list, I was like, man, don't nobody look like me on there. So I know there might be some bread and butter over there, but it's still a process, and we're still working out all the things, contract stuff wise. But I think I'm going to take the opportunity just to, why not, you know?
Yes.
But yeah, to answer your question, I would jump into any of those things
I
to
love
see
it.
what's
and
happening.
I think that, you know, even jumping
that's
into
fine.
something like that, and congratulations, that is so
Thank you.
exciting. And jumping into something like that requires courage, because it's something that's, you already carry these giftings, but now you are being put into a space where you have to cultivate them in a different way,
No, for
right?
sure.
And now you're also going to have to be vulnerable to all of the things that you don't know.
Exactly.
Learning and being okay with failing, and then being okay with learning again, and all of those things, right? And I'm curious to hear your thoughts about, you know, because I'll say this for myself. I feel like sometimes I put myself in this space where I feel like I have to have all of the things together before I take that next step, right? And have the clarity around what I feel like something is supposed to look like. And then once I have that, then I'm like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go get it done. But the way that God works in my life is that He's like, absolutely not. I'll put you in spaces where you have to have the courage to move, even if you don't have the full context of what it is that I'm doing.
No, for sure.
And how do you reconcile with clarity and courage, in the sense of, in some seasons you don't necessarily have the full scope of what something is supposed to look like, but you still take that step forward?
You ever moved into a new crib?
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. I mean, you don't got everything. You don't buy the couch, you don't buy the bed, you don't buy the, you know, before you move to a crib. I've slept on the crib with a blanket and a cot, you know, so it's like, it's a process, it's a journey, you know. So I think bringing it back to, like, you know, I think we try to find like some super big theory or like motivational things. It's the simple things, you know. Like, I've slept on the floor before in college. I've slept with multiple cousins, you know, slept apart, you know. Like, we've just been in situations where it ain't always what we thought it would be, or we don't have the full slice of the pizza, you know. So we got to just acknowledge what we do have and then work to what we do want. But it would be like, if somebody was like, yo, you have to buy everything in a crib before you get a crib, nobody would have a crib,
Right.
you know? So
Right.
just like breaking it down to, like, you know, I call it like a peanut butter jelly, you know, status or mindset, you know. Like, sometimes you might not have no jelly. It's a peanut butter sandwich now, you know. So I think just, and having humor about it, you know, like, you just have to know that, like, you know, stuff works in mysterious ways, you know. Not mysterious way, God works in His way, you know. And there's always a process to everything, you know. You don't get a 4-year degree in 4 days, you know. Sometimes it takes more than 4 years. So I think just life experiences, sports, you know, like, I think sports and church has cultivated a thought process and a mindset for me that it's relatable to all the other things that happen in life, to where it's like, summer league starts, that's not the playoffs. You know, there's a whole process to the playoffs. So we don't have we don't know how we're gonna get to the playoffs, but we know that it starts right here. You know, and you got to take those steps moving forward to get to that point. You don't know what team you're going to play. You don't know what seeding you're going to be in. You don't know who's going to be injured. You know, I mean, the best parlays is the one where you guess who's going to win the championship before the season starts, because you don't have no evidence of nothing. So you put $1 up, you might get 1 million off of that if you just be like, you know what, I'm just going to put it on the Lakers. They're going to win it this year. And they end up winning it. It's like, man, you know, so just those little things like that. And I'm a storyteller, you know, so for me, I understand a story isn't always finished sometimes. You know, there's always some more that can be added to a story, or there could be some changes and some things that can be adjusted in a story. So yeah, I just enjoy the process, honestly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about, like, and it's a little random, man, but, you know, I love that you've always kind of kept your faith with, you know, with God, and you constantly bring up the church and stuff like that. But do you ever feel like worlds are getting collided or worlds are getting tainted based off of, everybody that's in the event space, something that I've kind of realized too is that, there's so many vices that are involved, but then knowing that, like, being a church person or somebody that's, obviously grown up, raised in the church, it's a clean space as well. Do you ever feel like because of what you're doing during the week kind of messes with it? Does it mess with the sanity that you may have with it?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a sinner.
Yeah.
I'm just go throw it out there. I'm guilty. Lord forgive me, but to be honest, it's just like, it's about having that balance, I think, my mom's my foundation with that, I will be at church tomorrow before the day party, and she would be like, why weren't you at the day? I made it to church, why you didn't? So my mom do be on me to make sure that, like, she's a God-fearing woman, so majority of my family, like I said, we were all raised in the church, so yeah, I mean, it's about just knowing that striving to be is the journey. Like, you want to be good, you want to do right, you're going to mess up, you're going to, I was like, man, did I read my devotional today? Some days it just, I'm not 100% from the free throw line when it comes to, that, but I won't forget where I come from or where I came from, and I will do my due diligence, my best to always give thanks and give praise to what that, when things do happen in my life, because I wouldn't be here without them, so, and my family is the true foundation of, like, keeping me, like, humbled and keeping me, intact, especially with our faith, and other people, friends too, like a really good friend of mine, same age as me, he's a preacher of his own, so just being able to, be real with him, and have a conversation, and preachers are real people, so I'm blessed to have one from Tacoma, but he used to live in Baltimore, and he has life experiences to where we'll keep it real with each other. And he like, I don't like it when he said, I don't want to do churchy stuff no more. I want to just do stuff for the community, because the community is the real church, not necessarily the church. So not trying to always get down on myself about not being the best faith walker. But yeah, those things do collide, and you try to eliminate as many vices as you can. There's things that I don't do no more, but there's things that I do too much of. So it's like, you gotta find that healthy balance, but also just put him first, and hope that he continues to show mercy, and be thankful, and show humility and things of that nature. But yeah, we got
work to do.
We got work to do. It's a process. It's a journey. I'm not gonna sit here and try to be like, oh yeah, God, and then be like, yeah, what's popping, shorty? So like, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, my vices are Miami vices. Bright lights and colorful. But at the same time, like, I know my Lord and Savior as well too. So I have to keep that foundation. For real.
And I think as people, we get to places where, over time, certain things just are not the same, right? Like you already said, you've already eliminated some things that you once upon a time used to do that you don't do anymore. There's something that I've seen even in my own personal journey where, over time, the more intentional that I am with cultivating a deeper relationship with God, the more certain things are just not the same, right? And I do feel as though there's always something, because ultimately we're human beings. We're never going to hit a specific perfect place where now we are completely holy and righteous,
for sure.
Type of thing. However, I do think that certain things over time begin to shift depending on our intentionality with our devotionals, reading our scriptures, praying, cultivating deep community and connections where we're held accountable, things of that nature.
No, for sure. Yeah, I had a friend, we was making breakfast and we making French toast, and I ain't got no milk. He was like, you don't drink milk? I said, I'm a changed man, you know, I don't do the things I used to do no more, you know? So, like little things like that, you know, it's just everything, you know, just changes, you know? So you just gotta roll with the punches and know what's for you and know what's not for you and, you know, be real about some things and, you know, I be trying to justify stuff sometimes, but sometimes you just gotta, you know, it is what it is and you gotta, you know, let it be, you know, so, but yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Do you have anything in the pipeline for us to, you know, kind of be aware of as people, you know?
Yeah, Watermelon Sunday's on the tour right now, so July 6th, not knowing when when the beautiful people will see this, but
after the 6th.
yep, so what do we got going on? Where's the Love? Day Party, Seattle. August 3rd is National Watermelon Day, so we'll be doing Watermelon Sunday in Seattle. At LTD, Day Party. Labor Day weekend, I'll be in LA doing Watermelon Sunday out there with my homegirl DJ Fawcett and her homegirl DJ Lex. The tandem, Girls Gone Wild, doing everything out there, so we'll be out there. More food collaborations. I got a watermelon matcha coming out. Working with Imagine Tequila, so there's gonna be some fun stuff that you'll see from them that I'm working with behind the scenes to push and make happen. And some stuff for the youth too. We definitely can't forget about the youth, so there's some fun things that we're putting together for the youth. I'm about to put together a golf charity, HBCU golf charity game, so the proceeds that are received from that will send kids on Black college tours from here so they can get that experience, because a lot of kids don't know nothing about HBCU, so being able to send them over there to get that experience, working on like fun stuff like that with a couple different orgs and stuff like that, and just, you know, trying to, like I said, elevate those Power 5 things that I talked about earlier in whatever form or way I can. But yeah, just more events, continue to work with the youth, try to feed the people, you know, more fun food stuff. And yeah, just more growth, more beautiful things. So yeah, maybe a collaboration with Maybach Allure. You know, you never know. You know, we've been at that for like a year or some change. You know, it takes a process. I know you guys have been talking about this podcast for a long time, so you don't know when it's going to happen, but it's happening now. So the same thing with Ant and the crew. You know, it's all in the works. So fun stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, before we wrap, we actually have a segment here called Split Decision.
Oh boy.
And in essence, this is, and I promise it's not going to be anything ridiculous.
No, you're all good. I'm for all the shenanigans.
Essentially, you have a split decision, right? You have one choice that you can make between one of two options. And this first one is just going to be for you, and then the next one I'm going to ask to the both of you.
Okay.
Okay, Daz. So here's your split decision. Are you ready? Live in Tacoma forever and never get to see the world, or explore the world for free but never come back to Tacoma.
Explore the world for free, because I mean, now with social media, y'all can watch me, you know, Twitch, live stream, whatever the case may be. You know, home's always gonna be home. I've been here for about umpteen years, you know, so y'all can catch me over there, you know. But living in Tacoma would have to, which is beyond some of our powers. The city, the community, the laws, the rules, and regulations of how the city can grow needs to be adjusted and changed, and some of those things are outside of our bandwidth. So I can't see myself being here too long, because it's a long process for a city like that. You know, Seattle, you guys have to move fast. You guys got too many people coming in here and going out. Tacoma's not that fast, and we're only moving faster because so many people up here are moving down there. So just like laws and stuff are just slower to make the experience worthy of like staying here. Not even talking about the housing market. So if I could travel for free, I'll backpack around the world for sure. Yeah, that's an easy decision, not a split decision. Easy decision. Yeah, not even a split decision. So yeah.
That was a good one. Okay, so this is for the both of you guys. So your split decision question is: hold on to the version of you that people are most comfortable with, or risk being unrecognizable in pursuit of what's next.
I'd probably do risk being unrecognizable for what's next.
Yeah.
I think just because like this era is not forever.
Yeah.
You know, like I've kind of talked about it before, whereas like I can't do events forever. I can't be building community forever. There's gonna be a moment where I'm gonna want to enjoy the fruits of the labor, but in a different aspect of like what life comes to be. You know, maybe when I settle down, I have a wife and family, I'm gonna want to do things that are completely outside of the Miami vices, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it would be, you know. I don't know exactly what that would be. I mean, maybe I might learn to play the saxophone or something.
I mean, I'm
you
learning
know?
to play piano.
You know, so exactly, you know, so it might be just that, and it's like I never step foot into a club unless I'm celebrating somebody's birthday and we went out of town, and you know, something like that. But yeah, I think that would probably be it for me.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll second that. I'll definitely would rather be unrecognizable. I mean, the jersey is already in the rafters, you know, so moving forward, you know, like I would love to be in a white tee, some, you know, light blue jeans and some K-Swisses and just go in the grocery store and go get something and go back out to the crib, you know. But I think also just doing stuff to make other people comfortable is going to be a very deep blue sea that you don't want to swim in. You know, if that was the case, we would never be able to throw events, honestly, because if we did everything that people were comfortable with, like letting them in for free, how are we going to make no money?
Right.
You know, if we wanted to do everything that people were comfortable with, like, oh, we want the section, but we want the fanciest bottles, they don't serve those here. You know, so just like we can't do what people always want us to do, make them comfortable. We definitely have to do what makes us comfortable. So, yeah, no, I just have to be unrecognizable.
Good answers.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I like
that's
it.
perfect.
Okay, well, we appreciate you. This has been really
Yeah,
good. I feel like
this
we
was-
should have additional conversations. This was
Yeah.
really, really
Oh,
good.
part two? Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
would love
come
that.
on,
I would love
sure.
part two.
Yeah.
But you guys just,
Might have to
no,
do that.
absolutely. It's beautiful, though. Thank you
Yeah.
guys. And this is a beautiful setup and what you guys got going on here.
you.
So thank
you.
you again. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, before we wrap, Anthony is going to
Oh, yeah.
attempt. I'm nervous. I don't know what to think. I have no idea what he's going to do. But he's going to attempt to sing or rap. I don't know what he's going to do. Rap us out of the episode.
Okay.
What are you going to do?
You know, I gotta.
Oh, I thought you were gonna play it.
You know, I keep messing up. You know, I'm gonna say this.
Okay.
Because I haven't.
As he's looking at his.
Okay, so I haven't. What I will say is this. Clips, they have been doing an amazing job with the rollout of like all the stuff they've been doing.
Uh-huh.
So, a classic from the Clips, and Pharrell is gonna call Mr. Me Too, because we were talking about it early. So we were talking about earlier on where I felt like I had a lot of sons in the game.
And
know
you
what I'm
do
saying?
too.
I feel like you got a lot of sons. The blueprint of.
I don't got no kids. I don't know what you guys talking about.
Not
I'm
like
joking.
that, but you know
No,
what I'm
for sure.
saying, you know?
But you know, you
it's
gotta be
like-
humble. You gotta be humble.
Yeah.
Look, you be envious. Don't do.
This
don't
is
be like
Mr.
that
This
on
is
camera.
Mr. Me Too. I know. Yeah, me too.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we get it.
Okay.
Yeah, you too. Right? Yeah, me too. Okay, everybody meet Mr. Me Too. And I feel. Ooh,
Come on.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So y'all know the words, y'all know the lyrics
Yeah.
to that. So go look it up. Clips, Pharrell, Mr. Me Too. That's what we felt like.
Absolutely.
All right. So that's the end of the episode. I'm Anthony Jr.
And I'm Cyn.
and we had DAZ. He did his thing.
Yeah.
We appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you as
Thank
well.
you so
Daz.
much.
Absolutely.
All
We
right,
out
y'all.
here.
Peace.
Peace.